It's Monday, January 10, coming up live on The View. The co-hosts are back live to jumpstart 2011 with an entire show of the hottest topics on television. From the fallout over the massacre in Tucson to a roundup of who tied the knot, who's about to, and who has a baby on the way. And the biggest news of all, Sherry got engaged. Plus, one young girl from MTV's reality TV sensation I Used to Be Fat is sharing her journey from getting homeschooled to hide from bullies to losing an unbelievable 90 pounds in 90 days. And Father Albert Cutié, the celebrity priest shamed into leaving the church over his forbidden love affair, is revealing why breaking his sacred vow brought him closer to God. Plus, his new life as a priest, husband, and dad. All that and more, coming up live on The View.
For our first live show of 2011. It is a show filled with hot topics today, but we wanted to start off with a roundup of things we didn't get to talk about because we were away, you see. So the day after Christmas in New York, we were slammed.
You guys had a snowstorm.
This snowstorm was so big.
It was so big.
It was so big. It was so big that I wanted it to come and live with me. That's how big it was. I mean, it was.
Wow. It really took the city by surprise.
My family couldn't come in. I mean, I was nothing. And where I am, it was just like that was it. But you weren't here. Where were you?
I was in L.A. and Las Vegas, and we were seeing it on the news. Right. How you guys were all.
Speaking of Las Vegas, Joy is not with us this week because she's in Las Vegas judging the Miss America contest.
Yes.
You know, when I was away when the snowstorm happened, and I thought, people are no longer in New York going to ask for a white Christmas. They're not even going to buy Bing Crosby records. That's how bad it was.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was crazy. Were you here, Elizabeth?
We were here, and I have to say, you know, it was. We saw a lot of people just come out of the apartments and start shoveling away. Yeah. You know how you used to do when we were little. We'd all help each other out. And it was just, for the kids, it was fun. But I think, unfortunately, it became a little dangerous for too many.
Well, it got very dangerous because, you know, you couldn't fly out for days and days and days. It was crazy.
We thank our audience who have stood in the cold to come and see us today. You know that we wouldn't do this for you. But
this is true.
Nice that you
this
did.
is
Thank
true.
You.
But you know, there are a lot of people we need to thank and congratulate. Elton John became a dad with help from a surrogate. He's the biological father of a baby boy named Zachary. That's kind of fabulous. A lot of people took the plunge. Also, Valerie Bertinelli married boyfriend Tom Vitale. Shania Twain married Frederick Thyberg. Their relationship began after they found out that each of their spouses were having an affair with each other. It's too deep.
We're glad they found love
together. They fell in love, let's say, good for them. Kelly Pickler, remember Kelly Pickler?
Yes.
She got married
to
her songwriter Kyle Jacobs, which is kind of fabulous. And David and Victoria Beckham, two of our favorite people, they announced that they're expecting their fourth child.
And you know what I could say? I am just glad. I am glad that announcement is not coming from me. We are not expecting a fourth child.
I must say I'm happy, too, for you.
Yeah, you know who else was
Jane Krakowski from 30 Rock. She got married as well, too. Yeah, she got married. Do a shout out.
And Hugh Hefner.
So
touching.
That's right.
He's 84, she's barely 20.
They're getting married?
They won't have a prenup, they'll have a living will.
I turned him down. I just wanted to. Well, I said to him, I said, Hugh, baby, I don't think that I'm the marrying kind. And he said, Whoopi, you're breaking my heart. I said, Hugh, I can't do it, baby. I can't. Don't ask me again. So he went out and found Matt.
Is it true that she's registered at Toys R Us?
Wait a minute. No. You gotta say that again.
You gotta say it again, Barbara.
Okay, yeah, was that good?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Really good. I said, is it true that she's registered at Toys R Us?
But it was
go away.
That's right. And also, Natalie Portman announced her engagement to Black Swan choreographer Benjamin Millepied. She's also got a little bundle on the way.
my goodness.
So that's kind of fantastic. That's kind of fabulous.
Can I congratulate my brother-in-law?
Yes, you may.
Matt Hasselbeck, Matthew,
Yes.
and the Seahawks. Congratulations over the Saints.
4
though. I love the
touchdowns.
Saints. I really love the Seahawks. 4 touchdowns. That run by Lynch was unreal.
Yeah.
And you guys are one step closer to the Super Bowl, and I love it.
Yes.
It was
Congratulations.
quite wonderful. But now, let's really get to something that is very important for us here at the show. I'm so emotional, I can't even hardly bring it up.
Are you still upset because of Hugh Hefner? Is that what it is?
I am really emotional because of what's going on with Sherry Shepherd. She is now engaged.
Last year, I said my girlfriend Niecy Nash had a party, and it was some people there, and I met somebody. And so over the year, we were dating quietly because you guys were saying, you know, keep it quiet, get some strength under your relationship. So for Christmas, he had a present for Jeffrey. It was a game for Jeffrey, and he said to Jeffrey, "Can I marry your mom?" And Jeffrey's like, "Yeah, I want to play with my game." And he got on one knee and he said, "Mrs. Shepherd, would you be my wife?" And I said, "Yeah." But you know the thing that really made me fall in love with, his name is Lamar Sally, with Sal is Jeffrey said he was visiting me in New York, and Jeffrey goes, "Mommy, I want Sowell to take me to church, not you, only Sowell." And they walk hand in hand down the block to church, and I just said, you know, this man, he not only loves me, but he adores my son. And my son adores him, and that's us as we were dressed as Santa Claus at the airport.
So are you going to be Sherry Sally?
I'm going to be, I'm going to be Sherry Shepherd because I worked really hard to make it. I don't think people would know me as Sherry Sally. Yeah. But my credit cards and everything would say Sherry Sally.
Did you really get down on...
Sherry Sally. It wouldn't be Sherry Shepherd. You know me as Sherry Shepherd, but everybody else will know me as Sherry Sally.
Did he really get down on one knee?
He got down on one knee.
Could he get back up?
It was hard. Because my baby,
he's
6'6", 250 plus. I got him from Detroit.
If I ever go gets down...
Because they had 4 trucks built to
If I ever
last.
who gets down on one knee, I call the paramedics.
If he gets on one knee,
on one knee, and to Barbara?
To Barbara, even if he got on one knee, Barbara proposed.
I'm going to speak like, what does he do?
He is...
Can he make a living and take care of my Sherry?
Yes, he can make a living and take care of your Sherry. He's a TV writer, which is really great.
Writer.
He's a television writer, so this is great because he likes being behind the scenes. So this allows me to be still in front of the scenes, and it's really cool. So until I say I do, any man who comes out, I'm still speaking for you single women. I'm still going to acknowledge the fine men because y'all single women want to know. I'm saying what you're going to be. I didn't say I do. You get some cuties coming here.
The way that I look at you, Sherry, right now, I feel like you are like a special at the supermarket.
Okay.
They have run out of you.
Okay.
And you are now off the market.
I'm off the market.
You are off the market.
I'm off the market.
Okay.
But I'm still like...
Where does he live?
He lives in L.A., so he will be moving. Yeah, because we've been commuting back and forth.
Really?
That's been hard.
Keep commuting?
Right. No, he's going to move to New York. He's moving to New York.
These are important things.
So we're looking at Chicago. We're looking at being in Chicago.
You have been, I have to say, as your friends, like you have seemed and been so happy and yourself. So we know this is a good thing for you, and we are just praying. And you guys are going to be an incredible family.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Where were you, and why are there pictures of you, darling?
Oh, were there pictures of me?
Yes, there are pictures of you that we have.
Kids of mine.
I believe there are pictures of you, and what have you been doing?
That's not me. Those are my kids relaxing. This is what happens when you go away. We went to San Juan, Puerto Rico. It was a last-minute trip. That's Isaiah. He's so big. And he's looking at me because he's like, "Please don't spray me with sunblock again, Mommy." That's all. You know, you go away with 3 kids on the beach, and we're outside of the Ritz, and we had, I covered these kids with sunblock the whole time. I ended up burning myself. But that's really all you do. You kind of have moments of relaxation. And my kids are obsessed with Speedos. Anytime they'd see a guy with the Speedo, it was nearly, it's not even right. They're like, Speedo! Look at his Speedo!
Were they laughing when they said it?
Hysterical. And then for some reason, Grace thought that the next time one came by, she said, Mommy, look, he's wearing a tuxedo. They just were obsessed. They've never seen, they thought it was underwear. They had like big baggy bathing suits.
Can I ask you one question before we go?
Yeah.
Because it got lost in all our applause. When are you getting married?
We're looking at an August wedding in Chicago, because I'm from Chicago and his people are from Detroit. Right. So that everybody can meet in the middle.
I'll give you the shower.
Are you going to give me a bridal shower?
I'll give you a bridal shower.
Strippers and everything?
That's a bachelorette party.
Oh, no.
That's a bachelorette party.
I got Barbara. I want somebody named Chocolate Thunder.
I'll get you the stripper, Sherry.
You're
going to have cookies and punch.
Oh, okay. None of the Barbara.
Only if you want to do it, babe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
You know, this is like one of those moments like I had when I was on break. When I would, never mind. You know.
No, I want to hear about that one thing.
No, look at the. I have a streak in my hair that tells you everything. That tells you that I have this wonderful. It wasn't just during the snowstorm, but now.
Wait a minute. What?
What? Huh?
What made you do that? What has happened to you?
There can only be one thing that would make me do this to myself, which is I can't talk about it. We'll be right back with more Hot Topics. The country is still in shock trying to make sense of Saturday's insanity in Tucson, where Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords is in critical condition after 22-year-old Jared Loughner opened fire at her public appearance, killing 6 people, including a 9-year-old young lady called Christina Taylor Greene, and federal judge John M. Roll. And, you know, there's a lot being said because, you know, there's so many... we become so vitriolic. We talk about this on the show so often that it's sort of, is this what happens because we've become so vitriolic that, you know, people who are unstable are hearing things saying, go and get these people? Because this woman, this congresswoman, she was one of 9 of the Congress people who, particularly Democrats, who had been targeted by several different organizations. I mean, it's just crazy.
Because she voted, in part because she voted for health care.
Yeah.
Right. There was, and you remember in the press as of late, there's been a ton of criticism over the, was it Facebook page of Sarah Palin, when she had the crosshairs over different districts, and she said something like, don't something reload or whatever.
That's a different thing. That she had this was an ad that she had with the crosshairs about who you should vote for or not. But she also, what you're talking about is she tweeted at one point, conservatives and so on. She said, don't retreat, instead reload. I'm feeling bad for Sarah Palin because I don't think that's what she should have said, and certainly crosshairs are very scary. This is a deranged young man. This is a Timothy McVeigh. Whether this happened because there is violence, you know, too much commentary, too much violence, as you say, we've talked about. Sometimes we do it here. We get so angry. Whether that really spurred him on or whether he's just a very sick person, we don't know, and we don't know what his motives are. And we can hope that all the vitriol calms down. But to blame Sarah Palin, as some are doing, I think is very unfair to her. She issued a statement offering her condolences and hasn't said more. But I don't think this is the time now to start finding, you should excuse me, other targets to blame.
It seemed to be the first target, though. I mean, it was her, right? I mean, they seem to say, okay, this is the direct link.
If you look at that map with the crosshairs, Gifford's name was on there.
Yeah.
And she was, I just want to point out, she was Sarah Palin was one of several people who put crosshairs on this young lady.
Condemned the most.
You know.
And all of which, I mean, we talked about it here on the show. I remember saying that it seemed extreme and almost inexcusable that crosshairs would be put over everybody. And because you put a crosshair over someone or a district then does that, in fact, if you were not the person behind the gun, are you then to blame? I mean, just the morning of the shooting, hours before, the New York Post had this as its cover. Crosshairs saying stop him over Peyton Manning's face. Now, are they then to blame if, God forbid, anything were to happen to Peyton Manning?
God forbid, if anything were to happen to Peyton Manning, we'd be holding this up going, why would you foolishly do something like this? Why would you? When you put it, I'm saying there were many people in addition to Sarah Palin, but you got to say your words are powerful.
Yes, we
just because we have free speech and just because we can say certain things does not mean that we should. There are consequences that come, and so I don't know, but all those people who did do the crosshairs and had Gifford's name down there, you got to go to bed at night and go, did I have something to do with this?
In fact, she took it down off of her Facebook page, which means that obviously she thought either out of respect for the family or maybe in hindsight it was something that could indeed incite someone who may not be a right man to do something.
Was that she said, did you hear the statement that she made in March on MSNBC? I'll just read it to you. We're in Sarah Palin's targeted list, but the thing is, the way that she has depicted has the crosshairs of a gun sight over our district. When people do that, they've got to realize there are consequences. But now, will this... I mean, this violent act of one... The Congresswoman's, that was her statement.
Right.
And by the way, we are praying for her and the other victims, and the doctors say they are cautiously optimistic. But after all of this, if there's any good that comes, will we be different? Will we have less vitriol? The way to get attention and ratings has been the more, the louder, the busier, the nastier. Do you think this is going to make a difference?
I do believe it's going to make a difference because I think more and more people are saying, you know what? We can disagree. I mean, that's the great thing. We can get very animated on this show, but it is never personal. Right. And it is never puts you in danger.
Never.
It never. We don't endanger people, and we've had this discussion with several of our guests where we've had to say, your words mean something because you're on television. People are listening, and just be aware of it. Just be aware that there. Pardon me. There are crazy folks out there, folks who. Will think that you are talking to them and telling them what to do. And if you're seeing it on a commercial, which is what was also going on in Arizona, I mean, it's nuts. It's not special.
What I was also going to say, and I think a lot of people are jumping on Sarah Palin because this is a woman who's out there who there's speculation that she might run for office as opposed to these other people. And we're going, was that a bad lack of with the lack of judgment that she showed? So I think people are getting on her.
But isn't it ironic? They're saying don't be so hateful, don't be so quick to judge, don't be so quick to use things for political gain. Yet they're still using this as an opportunity to then, in fact, come back and put blame on her. And whether or not she did, and we all said it was wrong for her to use the crosshairs. We all did, including me. But I don't think that it's actually changing, Whoopi. I think it's actually getting worse because people are using it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the difference then and now is people, all our viewing folks, have now watched this thing happen. They have watched the life of this 9-year-old little girl who had nothing but future in front of her. And I think somehow it has clicked in people's minds that they may be connected. Barbara, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Just to make it very much in the present, we have a new Congress. And there has been all of this, will they get along, all of this anger, can they talk, so on, in this kind of a voice. And maybe, if there's any good that comes out of this, maybe even something, something as important to us as the new Congress. Maybe there will be a different way of talking. Maybe there will be a different way of cooperating. If so, and if we can all keep the arguments down, and we just have to pray for the Congresswoman and the other people, then maybe there is some good that came out of this horrendous act.
We keep our fingers crossed. You know what? We're going to go and come right back because, baby, do we have more hot topics? Indeed we do. You'll see. Come on back. something that surprised the heck out of us. A new edition of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is being published, and it deletes the N-word from the book, replacing it with the word slave. Now, the man behind this is a Mark Twain scholar who says the offensive word was keeping this book off shelves in too many schools. Now, I'm sorry, it's a classic. You don't have the right to change a classic. It's like Roots. Roots, the N-word, and I hate saying it. I want to say it so bad.
Can you say that word?
Well, they'll beep it, but it's all right. Yeah. But, when you are watching Roots, to have them beep the N-word every time it comes up is the most ridiculous thing in the world. If we don't say, this is where we came from, how can we train people where we need to go? Mm-hmm. If we erase a word and pretend it never was, it was there. It was a word. Yes. It was a word.
This is a great work of art, of literature in our culture.
To bleep you because
we
are so afraid of saying it, But then, and I wondered how you would feel and how you would feel, Sherry.
Well, it's very interesting because me talking to a bunch of people, it was very divided. Because I feel like where do you draw the line if you start changing things and you start changing history and you put in different words? Divided about that. But then I'm going, well, how am I going to feel if Jeffrey has to read this and I have to explain to him about somebody using this word?
You should have to explain. You should have to explain to him because the history of America is part of that as well. This is also our country. We can look at all the, I collect the cookie jars. I got the Aunt Jemima cookie jars. You do. I have all the Negrobilia so I can remind myself, that's right, that's what I call it, Negrobilia. I have it to remind myself where we've come from. I also have things from Germany, from the Second World War, to remind myself where we've come from. And when kids ask about it, it is a great way to say the history of America has been mixed. It has been hard in some places and wonderful in some places. And when you read Huck Finn, and you read the relationship between Huck and Jim, who Huck does not see as anything but his running buddy.
Right.
It is an extraordinary story, and to change it and pretend like it, oh, please.
Right.
They also...
But good for you. They recently read the Constitution to Congress. They left out the section on slavery.
They left out the section?
They left it out.
It happened!
I know.
Oh, good Lord. You know what? Before we go, we lost a dear woman to us several days ago, tragically. R&B legend Tina Marie. She was 54 years old. So as we go to break, here's a little bit of the last performance she had here with us on The View. I hate to cut us off, but I wanted to get us in.
MTV's latest documentary series, I Used to Be Fat, follows people fighting to free themselves from the devastating physical and emotional effects of obesity. So for 18-year-old Marcy Lavine, cruel teasing forced her into a lonely life of homeschooling where she finally hit rock bottom at 250 pounds. Take a look.
The one thing I really don't like about myself is my stomach, and it's the ugliest part of me. I hate it so much. And it's so ugly. It's such a big, massive thing that's on my body. It's not normal. I want to be skinny and healthy and not feel like I have to eat every 5 minutes just to feel like I'm somebody. I want to change so bad because I know that it would help me. It would change my whole life.
But Marcy took control of her destiny, and she ended up losing a staggering 90 pounds in 90 days. Would you please welcome Marcy Lavine?
watched you on that with this monster training you.
Yes.
And you sobbing and look at you. Congratulations.
You look absolutely gorgeous.
What do you weigh now?
155.
155. Congratulations. We have to say, this gorgeous, stunning woman next to you is your mother, Sandy.
Oh, thank you.
And next to you is your trainer, Justin Bradshaw.
The monster.
Yeah, the monster trainer. So before we get into that, so when you were younger, you were being bullied by the kids at school.
Yes, ma'am.
So at 16, you decided that you wanted to be homeschooled because it was so. In sixth grade, you were going to be homeschooled because it got so bad.
Yes.
But when you were homeschooled, you gained even more weight.
Sure.
When you were being homeschooled, do you think if you'd have just went ahead and stayed in school, it would have, you wouldn't have got as big or even bigger?
I mean, it really comes down to, I think if I would have stayed in school, all the pressures, I would have just gained weight as well. Probably not as much, just because I had so much free time when I was homeschooled, but I definitely would have been happy.
So it still would have been, you still would have gained weight.
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we're going when we saw this, a lot of times you would say you wanted to eat, and your mom, Sandy, you would take her to these fast food restaurants.
Yes, I did.
I mean, when you saw that she was getting bigger, or did it occur to you to say, no, I'm going to put a stop to
You ate
this?
the same. You didn't gain all that weight, but you're an enabler.
But I didn't. I am an enabler. There's no doubt about that. But
Three times a day you took your daughter to fast food restaurants.
I did. She would not eat anything I prepared. I mean, nothing. So I wanted to give her food, but
Did you try to? Did you, instead of fast food, did you try to do other things like, we're going to do salads? We're going
absolutely.
and nothing.
Yeah, but later on you did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to get to. Well, you're not really the monster, but you were the salvation. First of all, 90 pounds in 90 days, a pound a day. You had her doing the most extensive, painful exercises. Is that safe, 90 pounds in 90 days?
All of the kids on the show were monitored by doctors, and I'd also consulted with a nutritionist prior to working out with Marcy, and so I think it is. She was in an extreme situation. She weighed 250 pounds, severely overweight, was going to face tons of health problems later in life if it wasn't fixed now. And so,
but you sobbed. I ached for you.
I know.
But if somebody else wanted to do this and doesn't have you and doesn't have the doctors, do they have to go through that kind of, look at her, that kind of extreme? I mean, what do you do?
No, you just need to get off the couch, get in the gym, and get on a healthy living diet, if you want to call it.
Doesn't have to be that much.
No, not at all. Spend an hour a day in the gym, eat healthy, live a healthy lifestyle.
So when you say an hour a day, what did you do?
We worked out a lot more than that. We worked out 4 to 8 hours a day. Every single day.
4 to 8 hours a day?
Yes.
You worked out?
Yes.
So when he was working you out like this, what were you going through?
You can see through the crying that I was in immense, stress. It was.
She wasn't used to working out at all. She never worked out in her entire life. Her whole life was a bad habit. And so when I came along, we changed all of that. And so it was hard for her to adjust, as it would have been for anyone. So I'm sure that most people that went through that process would have shed some tears.
But also, you learned to cook. Now, here's your mother saying you wouldn't eat anything, and yet the next scene, there you are, not the next scene, took some time. You're cooking spinach, you're enjoying all kinds of different things. What happened in your head?
It was just one of those things where it finally clicked. And I realized that by cooking, I'm eating healthier. I know what I'm putting in front of me. Not processed foods, not anything like that. So it was time for a change, and I decided to buck it up and start cooking.
Are you back in school?
I start college very soon.
You're starting college?
Yes.
So it's no longer going to be homeschooling. You're going to live. And what do you like now? What's your regime now like?
I mean, she's never home.
I'm never home.
They got
I'm always out.
They have that thing in college.
But now you're dating.
Oh yes.
But this is in college. Is it called the freshman 10 or the freshman 15? The freshman 15 that you gave. Does that scare you a little bit?
No, that's not even a problem for me at all.
She'll be attending my boot camp as many times a week as possible, so that doesn't happen.
So Sandy, if you see Marcy at all gaining any weight, are you going to do things differently?
It's totally different now. I would definitely say something, or I'd call Justin. Actually, I would call Justin.
And tell me how you did this, because this is the reason why I don't go on cruises, because it's unlimited food. Yes. You guys just got back from a cruise. Yes. How did you do it? How'd you handle yourself?
Well, first of all, I took my food with me, the food that I eat, which is like a Luna protein bar. The cookie dough ones are my favorite.
You took one protein bar with
No.
you?
I took boxes of protein bars.
Protein bars.
And
Is
I
that
just...
good?
Sure, it's not bad.
Okay.
180
It's like a
calories
meal
bar.
replacement.
Right. And compared to me having all the access to all the food, pizza, pasta, all the stuff that everybody else around me was eating, I can't do that. So
How hard is that?
what, seeing everyone else eating and I can't have it?
A little pizza, a little pasta.
I mean, sure, it's tempting, yes, but I know what it did to me. So I never want to go back there. It's like not even an issue.
Okay, so you said in your mind, you were thinking back to what you felt like before.
Yes.
And that's the imagery you had?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take
When
you
I
on a
see
cruise
that,
with
it's
me,
just like-
girl. I want that.
She knows what will happen if she comes back. It wasn't good.
I will never go back, and I want to continue to lose weight. So.
And she doesn't eat fast food anymore.
No.
She doesn't
How
like
much
it.
more do you want to lose?
Honestly, probably another 25 pounds.
Okay.
Can she do that?
Certainly.
Yeah.
All
5'5".
right. Marcy, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story.
you.
We want to thank Marcy, Sandy, and Justin. I Used to Be Fat airs Wednesday nights on MTV. When we come back, the priest whose forbidden love affair made headlines is telling you why it brought him closer to God.
Father Cutié's actions have caused grave scandal within the Catholic Church, harmed the Archdiocese of Miami, especially our priest, and led to division within the ecumenical community and the community at large.
Well, as you can see, the Catholic Church showed little mercy, at least according to a very popular priest and television and radio personality, Father Albert Cutié. After scandalous photographs exposed his love affair with a female parishioner, a woman who is now his wife and the mother of his child, he left the Catholic Church. He is back in a collar as an Episcopalian priest with a new book that reveals why he thinks breaking the vow brought him closer to God. He is now married and has a child, and we welcome Father Albert Cutié. Thank you.
I'm glad to be here. I want to express my sympathy to the people in Tucson, Arizona, because I know that everyone right now is thinking about that news story, and I think that they need our prayers, and we pray for all of those who are victims, especially the families.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about you. This is not the first time that something like this has happened, although in the past perhaps it's been kept secret, but you met a divorced member of your parish, who's now your wife. You fell in love with her and had these terrible feelings of guilt. And what do you do about your vows of celibacy? Now, forgive me, but were you a virgin when you entered the church?
I entered the seminary at 18, but I was a disc jockey in high school. I kind of lived a normal teenage life, if you will. Yes, I did. But when I entered the seminary, I took the promise of celibacy because I didn't take a vow. Vows are taken by religious. I was a secular priest. So I took the promise of celibacy, or preparing for that promise, very seriously, and I did for many years, even as a priest for many years. My wife is the only person that I had sexual contact with, and my wife is the only person that I really felt from the first moment I saw her that there was a strong connection to.
You know, you got caught on the beach, whatever you were doing. What, hugging, kissing, or were you doing more?
Hugging, kissing, whatever people who love each other do on the beach. I don't know.
Okay, so as we would say, you went all the way. But
not quite.
No, not on the beach.
Well, that's the point.
That's a drink.
Why? That's my point.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost as if you wanted to be caught, Father. I mean, she could have rented a motel room. Maybe you had a friend. I mean, on a beach? Did you? And was there a part of you that wanted to be caught?
You've got to understand Florida. Once it gets below 60 degrees, nobody goes out on the beach. And it was a cold day, believe me. It was isolated, Barbara. There was no one there. And we went out there really just to kind of read, hang out, get some rays. But I understand what you're saying. Maybe part of me, my subconscious, was like tired of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's horrible to live a double life. That's part of what I say in the book, Dilemma.
You do.
I never wanted to publicly betray my promise of celibacy, but there's no doubt that 100,000 priests, and this is something people don't know, 100,000 priests have left to marry. Mm-hmm. So this is not Father Albert's dilemma. This is a dilemma that hundreds of thousands of men and women have lived.
Celibacy in the Catholic Church.
But you left after this began. You also say that you were treated more harshly than other priests who broke the celibacy promise. But you knew, I mean, you knew the structure and the rules there. Do you think that did you think otherwise, that, oh, even if I get caught, maybe they'll adjust the rules for me? You weren't surprised by how harsh the treatment was?
I was surprised by how harsh because, for example, I replaced 2 priests accused of pedophilia.
Right.
I replaced a priest that fathered a child with a prostitute, with a stripper. And I also saw how a prominent priest in my diocese was caught with a male prostitute on one of the main avenues in Miami. And never was there a statement as harsh as the statement you heard about me with single adult female.
Because it's male to male.
In a monogamous relationship, you're saying.
They could still appear celibate.
Well, let me give you an example. A violation of celibacy, people don't know this, can be masturbation, can be pornography on the internet, can be going to gay clubs, which unfortunately some priests do that, promiscuous lives of different types, and also eating excessively, smoking excessively, drinking excessively can be, in a way, a violation of celibacy.
I ain't been celibate in a long time.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that then priests in the Catholic Church should be allowed to marry?
I think that for 1,200 years they were. 40 popes were married. People don't know this.
So what's it going to
It's actually more traditional for priests to marry than not to marry.
What's it going to... Now you're an Episcopal priest where you can't be married. What's it going to take if you think that's... to change these vows of so many years?
They're already changing. Let me give you an example. If a priest in my church, an Episcopal priest, or any priest of the Anglican Communion who's conservative, doesn't want women to be ordained, doesn't like a progressive stance towards gays, for example, those priests are received by the Pope with their wives and their children. And they can be Roman Catholic priests today. And they can be active right away. Wow. So right now in the church, they're receiving priests from my church with their wives and their children.
In the Episcopalian faith.
Yeah, and now they're being received in the Roman Catholic Church as priests.
Well, you know what, Father?
As Episcopalian, not as Roman Catholic.
No, as Roman Catholic.
Roman Catholics.
Priests from my church are being received every day in the Roman Catholic Church
get married?
They're already married and have their children.
They're not required.
Why weren't you?
Well, because if you're born Roman Catholic and you go into the seminary thinking this is the way it's going to be, you have to remain celibate the rest of your life. Whereas those who are born outside of Roman Catholicism, they can come with their wife and children, and they're accepted as priests.
No celibacy vow.
No.
Well, Father, you know, and thank you for just being truthful and just saying we're human and we have flaws. But you say that this has brought you closer to God. Why is that?
I think that, you know, God created us to love and to be loved. And to tell you the truth, the love that I have always had for the church, I continue to have. And I still love the Roman Catholic Church because that's where I was brought up. That's where I was baptized. But certainly with time, ideologically, you begin to clash with something that you really respect and love. And that's what happened to me. So when I found this love of God and love of my wife at the same time, I think both of those things just make you a better human being. There's nothing incompatible between loving God and serving God and loving your wife. I think all rabbis, ministers, pastors have demonstrated that to us. And I thank God every day that I've been able to be blessed with that child and with my wife.
It's fantastic.
Well, this is a subject that's not going to go away, and we thank you.
I'm coming to your church.
Yeah. We all are.
Our thanks to Father Albert Cutié. Members of our audience are going home with a copy of his provocative book. We appreciate your being here. We wish you happiness in your new life.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.
Have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy the view, and we shall see you mañana, baby.